The economic aspect always forms part of a person's life, and whether we like it or not, this is a common concern for certain individuals who in one way or another always focus their thoughts and energy on eliminating the deficiencies in their lives. But even that constitutes a terrible mistake in the lives of many because, even indirectly, we are taking our energy and giving it to those lacks of objects or money in our reality. However, what a profound spiritual path can do for the person is simply stunning, because from an internal change, it becomes possible to begin to notice changes in reality and in the external aspects of our lives. Everything we see, touch, experience, perceive, and possess in one way or another is linked to our state of consciousness and what lies within us. That is why, when we allow negative energies, pessimistic thoughts, and negativity in any of its forms to dwell within us, we manifest that in our reality in one way or another. Understanding and analysing this is something that is not so easy for everyone, but it can completely turn your life and reality around, especially when it comes to monetary matters, because that abundance and wealth that many seek can be found within us. According to the illustrious hypnotherapist and researcher Dolores, each of us comes to this plane with the ability to have everything and to manifest absolutely everything we desire. But for this to happen, it is necessary for our being to rid itself of burdens and negative energies, from which it can align with the energies of the universe to achieve everything it desires and seeks. There is not a single soul that does not possess this ability, and if we do not enjoy it, it is simply because we do not recognize our own power and the parts that make up our being, something that is completely remediable and that, from our commitment, can lead us to a path of wealth, fortune, and total abundance. Surely many of us who have come this far are already immersed in that beautiful work, which can be as beautiful as it is challenging, but we know it will bring us great rewards. However, even as we enjoy this transformation, it is normal for us to ask ourselves at certain moments, how much progress have we made toward our goal? How much more do we have to go? These are questions whose answers are truly personal, and only from the depths of our being can we find concrete answers. But what we can do in a general sense is appreciate some of the signals that the universe and our being give us regarding the manifestation of wealth, fortune, and abundance in our lives. That's why today we're going to explore some of them together and thus enrich ourselves in knowledge, a knowledge that can also be profoundly hopeful and lead us to better understand the arrival of that precious reward for our commitment to ourselves. Number 1. We begin to have a mindset of abundance. As I mentioned at the beginning of our meeting, the way many people view money, abundance, and economic flow tends to be quite mistaken. That's why we end up attracting to ourselves and our lives those things that we fear so much. Everything we focus our attention and energy on inevitably becomes something we invest energy in, one that is capable of causing those things to take on a physical form and become part of our reality. If we observe closely, we'll realize that humanity has plunged into a common belief that wealth is about eliminating deficiencies, from which we give attention and power to this part of our reality that finds space from an imbalance within ourselves, or worse yet, from many blocks and traumas that we have allowed to settle within us, creating from their presence a conflict with our true essence. Part of our being's evolution and that elevation of consciousness we're all seeking necessarily involves changing our perspective on many things which our societies and the social dynamics within them have implanted in our being as something true. But through our internal work and that connection with our soul and the universe, we can come to understand that this is nothing more than a false belief that can be eradicated from us to allow true knowledge and faith in our abilities to take their place. And it's a clear sign that wealth is approaching our lives and our reality when we notice a change in our mindset. We shift our focus from concentrating on deficiencies to now being focused on wealth, abundance, and happiness. This is a mindset known as abundance mentality, and cultivating this outlook on life can lead us to great victories in the economic sphere. So once you manage to detect that your being has made that change, where it lets go of beliefs and ideas that are erroneous to fill itself with accurate thoughts and true knowledge, you'll understand that you're one step closer to having that wealth everyone longs for reach our reality and settle in it. As you see the world from a perspective of abundance, all those deficiencies you fear so much will eventually become ineffective, and they'll only be a part of what was necessary to experience to arrive at this new reality, filled with money, goods, and all the goodness that the universe has to offer us. From our thoughts, we'll extend our arms and open the doors for all the marvelous things to come abundantly to us, and for money to keep multiplying in our hands. Number 2. We begin to see money as an energy. At this point, it's also necessary to observe the way ideas about money and abundance have been introduced since ancient times, which end up being false. These beliefs ultimately harm humans gravely and shorten that manifestation capability that resides in us from the very day of our birth. But when we understand that we are responsible for creating everything we have in our environment, and that the desires of our hearts are never too big for the strength of our being, that's when we take total control of things and start achieving what we've been dreaming of. But part of the understanding necessary for manifestation is represented by the way we take energy and turn it into what we dream of, even if this is represented by money and wealth. And although many may see this as a selfish goal, money is actually both necessary and good, as through it, we can perform great actions in favour of the people around us and humanity in general. While having money is not a requirement when carrying out actions that benefit humanity and the world, it does constitute a significant help when executing acts that involve a large number of resources. But regardless of this, anything you seek to do with money is acceptable because it is a good energy, and it should be accepted in the form it comes, without thinking that in one way or another it is a resource that can corrupt the human being. Money is not just bills and coins, nor is wealth what we can buy with money. Instead, it is an energy, one that comes from the universe and circulates freely throughout the world, transcending the limits we ourselves impose on it. Money is in no way limited, nor is it a commodity that is only accessible to a select few in the world. It is an unlimited energy that reaches all souls that open themselves to receive it in the forms and amounts that these same souls allow. And if we open ourselves to this idea, we will definitely remove the blocks that often prevent us from having what is rightfully ours by law and by the universe's design. In fact, as we've been announcing in the title of this point, from the moment we start seeing money as an energy, we can rest assured that wealth and money are about to manifest in our lives, not only in the ways we expect, but also in many surprising and pleasing ways. Number 3. Set our intentions and entrust them to the universe. In this part, it's important to mention that often, when we don't see immediate and significant results from what we do, we tend to feel a bit frustrated, and we may even experience a sense of sadness, which is compounded by the idea of having failed miserably in our endeavour. There is actually no such thing as failure because every aspect of our life and journey is necessary. It's not just an idea implanted to encourage those who have experienced some kind of setback. It's a knowledge that great minds like Dolores have upheld. According to her, when we are in a part of our process that presents a strong challenge and we end up acting in a way that doesn't help us overcome that test, in one way or another, we are also coming out victorious because we are growing both in skills and in knowledge. This is why, rather than focusing on the material or tangible results of what we do, we must understand that simply embarking on this path is a complete triumph, one that we will manifest rewards for in one way or another. When we fully trust in our abilities and in this journey our soul leads us on, success is a guaranteed destination, but one that we will only access if we wholeheartedly surrender all our intentions to the universe and allow it to move us into the right spaces and forms, always advancing with the firm conviction that we will achieve it. As is well known, a crucial part of all this is our focus, so from the very beginning, we must define what it is we wish to achieve, as setting goals or objectives greatly helps to give direction to the compass that our soul represents. But despite having clarity on what we desire and where we are going, it is also important to surrender these desires to the universe and allow it to manifest them in the form, time, and through the channel it deems fit, as this wonderful place we inhabit perfectly understands the necessary forms to prepare you to receive what you dream of. There is nothing impossible for you, and you must always keep this in mind, because from the moment you realize that you have confidently entrusted everything to the universe, you will see how it brings that great reward you desire closer to your life. This confidence is a clear indication that the wealth and abundance you seek for your life are much closer than you think. So move forward with confidence, because in matters of energy and universal forces, these signs are exact. They never fail and always show us what is to come. Number 4. We begin to visualize the number 8 recurrently. Since time immemorial, numerology has shaped many of the popular beliefs we live by and to which we attach importance. Everyone talks about the magnificent way in which the universe can give us beautiful messages of love, compassion, and empowerment through numbers, as if these constituted a part of the language used by this place we inhabit to make us understand or warn us of the things that are coming our way. And among these messages is also included the message that speaks of wealth, economic abundance, and a constant flow of money that helps us access a better lifestyle. This message is in many cultures and, in terms of methodology, transmitted by the number 8, which in its form possesses a highly cherished message and symbolism associated with money and the way this energy flows. If we take a closer look at this number, we can see how its shape represents balance and an infinite flow, so certain cultures end up taking it as a good omen of money and wealth. We must understand that the universe does not take lightly the messages it sends to each soul. So receiving this wink from it is an infallible sign that the manifestation of that long-awaited wealth and abundance is coming into our lives. There is no specific way in which this number should be appreciated, as it can come marked on a paper, stamped on a wall, or its sighting can also be represented by the appearance of objects in that exact number. There is no strictly established way for us to notice the appearance of this number in our daily lives, but what definitely exists is a profound and beautiful message behind the sighting of the number 8. It is even possible that this number appears in the form of a numerical sequence, reinforcing the way in which the universe is speaking to us and inviting us not to stop, as the distance we must travel to be able to grasp that money and abundance is very, very short. Let us take the appearance of the number 8 in our lives as a powerful catalyst for the strength of our being in the face of the proximity of our dreams and desires in the economic sphere, and let hope and joy invade our being with the omen of a soon reward for our work. That is why from this very moment I invite you to evaluate how this number may be presenting itself to you and the message it carries with it, without neglecting the frequency with which you are now able to spot it. And what we seek is to determine if indeed this is the moment of your life you have been searching for, maintaining the hope that it will be. Number 5. You acquire the ability to distinguish between needs and desires. Many times we tend to confuse the expenses and investments we make out of necessity with those we make out of simple desire. And this can represent a major problem, because instead of allowing money to flow correctly, we seek to hoard it to fulfill our material desires. This lack of discernment between our sources of expenditure makes it difficult to maintain a proper balance at an economic level. So many people see how money slips away from them without understanding the reason, beginning to generate feelings of inadequacy and lack. These feelings go completely against our manifestation process and manage to completely drive away the energy of money and with it the energy of wealth and abundance. But from the correct discernment about the origin of our expenses, we can control them better and direct our efforts towards the materialization of our desires, and towards works that are more beneficial. A beautiful part of learning to discern between the basic needs to maintain a comfortable lifestyle and the deep desires that only bring material satisfaction is that we can take the money intended for these pleasures and use it for things that bring us greater satisfaction or greater rewards. And I'm not necessarily talking about more money, much less. I rather refer to being able to invest in works that ultimately generate well-being for humanity, which in one way or another will translate into an energetic gain and personal satisfaction. Surely you have always heard about these charitable works and the way they end up generating a greater flow of resources into our lives. And indeed, this is what happens, because the way the universe rewards those who act as miracle multipliers is simply wonderful. That is why, from the ability to better manage our money, we prevent it from being spent on unnecessary things that do not benefit us, opening the door for that extra money to be invested in such things, which will give a better status to the universe regarding the energy of money and its deservingness. For this reason, the ability to differentiate between the types of expenses we have represents a clear sign of evolution and an important omen that announces the arrival of money in unimaginable amounts into our reality. When you feel and observe that it has now become much easier to classify your expenses between those necessary and those that only seek to satisfy pleasures and desires, you can consider it as a small victory and as a clear indication that very soon money will come into your life to multiply in unimaginable ways. Number 6. Unexpected gifts are received on significant dates. While it is true that gifts do not measure how accepted a person is or the level of wealth that surrounds them, at this very particular point, they can represent a strong signal that the manifestation of wealth is approaching your reality. There is not a single being that does not feel an emotion and a feeling of satisfaction when receiving an unexpected gift. And not because we are mentioning them does it mean that they must be large or expensive. They are simply gestures that come loaded with the intention and energy of the giver, and of course with a profound message from the universe. For many, the giving of gifts or material things on special dates is an issue that denotes superficiality. But beyond what many may think, this is a precious way the universe has to communicate with souls, all through a channel that, while it has a physical form like ours, transmits a message from universal and divine energies. The symbolism attributed to these gifts goes far beyond the simple interpretation of the economic aspect, as it seems that receiving these small details is a kind of language of the universe to tell us that we will achieve everything in a just and special moment. This does not mean that there are only specific dates on which we can receive the blessings and rewards that the universe holds for us, and that with absolute certainty we can walk towards that future that is being painted in a beautiful way for us. Let's remember that we will only be ready for this type of signals and rewards from our openness to receive, from our internal work, and from the feeling of being deserving, something that will also be manifested in the receiving of these details. When we have worked on ourselves and we are aligned with the universe and with what it holds for us, that is when we can begin to perceive those signs of the coming manifestation of our wealth, abundance, and economic stability. And this will become tangible in our reality through announcements of greatness, just like those represented by these gifts. Remember not to limit yourself when observing if this signal is presenting itself in your life, because it can be of any type, with any commercial value and of any size, from a chocolate to a flower. The important thing is not the cost it has in this earthly plane, but the way in which, by buying and giving it to your loved one, you are manifesting the coming of our wealth. Also, let's not limit ourselves when defining what special dates are, because beyond established holidays, we can consider special dates as those on which events have occurred that have deeply marked our being, such as the day we entered our first job, or the day we received the news of a university or school scholarship. What really matters is how you appreciate that date. Number 7. You take greater risks. Surely on different occasions you have heard that saying that speaks of how the world belongs to the brave, and indeed that is what happens, because we must remember that in the midst of this plan and this process that has been carefully designed for our soul, everything that happens has a deep meaning and a lesson to be learned. So it is not strange to think that even the falls are important and must take place in our journey. All this is exposed so that we understand that in this life, nothing is designed for us to fail, but rather for us to grow and become better and stronger. So taking risks and venturing into the unknown does not have to be something bad or crazy. In reality, life gives us the opportunity to try different methods and ways of doing things, always achieving favorable results, even if they do not manifest as you wish. Our understanding must be able to go much further than the obvious, and our consciousness must be able to transcend the obvious to encounter the profound lessons and knowledge that are offered to us to continue growing. Those who have managed to understand this and align themselves with high levels of consciousness and elevated vibrations come to assume this posture as a way of life in which to remain, to materialize our goals and fulfill our true purpose on Earth. But this does not mean that this premise and vision are only applicable in aspects of life other than money, because in reality, it is in this aspect that trusting the process and taking risks becomes most important, especially because money is an energy that must flow, and if we cling to it and do not let it pass, we simply will never be able to manifest wealth in our reality. It is crucial for our being to let things organize themselves in the right way, because from our desire for control, we do not achieve anything good for our lives, and even losses are moments of profound growth. Because it is not about the money you have lost, as it can return multiplied, but about our trust in the universe and the skills we learn from every mistake we make. Although it is more than clear that mistakes do not really exist, and when you realize that there is no fear in you in relation to money, and you allow yourself to take opportunities for growth with it, that's when you can be sure that money will come into your life in great abundance and very promptly. This is one of the clearest signs when it comes to talking about the manifestation of money, because behind those risks we take may lie the opportunity to have everything we desire and much more. Number 8. Gratitude begins to completely take over our lives. A beautiful and profound sign that money is about to manifest abundantly in our lives promptly is the feeling of gratitude that is experienced more intensely in our reality, within ourselves, and in everything around us. There is no more beautiful way to determine that everything we do has a good purpose than when we end up feeling extremely grateful for who we are and what surrounds us. Because from gratitude for the little things, much is built in our realities. The energy of gratitude is so great that it is capable of transforming everything and bringing it to a positive extreme. That's why many dedicate themselves to professing the wonders that come from knowing how to appreciate every aspect of our lives. And it's very easy to be grateful when it comes to good, beautiful, and positive things, but the real challenge is to be grateful in the complex moments of our lives, because it is in those moments that we find ourselves against the wall, trying to find in the midst of that feeling of sadness, frustration, or discomfort, a point that is enough for us to cling to gratitude. Gratitude is also an art, which brings out the most creative side of those who practice it, because beyond the obvious things that need to be appreciated, there are thousands and thousands of opportunities to practice gratitude, but it depends on us to find them. There is nothing negative to say about gratitude, and although for some souls, finding reasons to be thankful is a real challenge because they are still asleep in consciousness, for those who have already opened their eyes to the universe and the wonders that exist in it, knowing that being grateful is something beautiful and finding reasons to do so is very easy. There are things we take for granted that represent a valuable treasure for those who do not have them, such as having the opportunity to have a home, to have health, to enjoy comforts like water, electricity, and many others. When we sit down to analyze that there are people for whom simple things like these are not universally accessible, we realize how fortunate we are, and we feel the impulse to be thankful. This also happens in the economic sphere because the salary that for many is insignificant would represent a complete turnaround in the lives of others, and access to a lifestyle that for many is average, and for others, a life full of privileges. We often fail to appreciate how fortunate we are for what we have, live and enjoy, as the energy of complaint tends to be ever present, and many accept it without much thought. But if there's one sign that demonstrates that money, wealth and abundance are coming into our lives, it's undoubtedly the way we begin to live in gratitude, from which everything becomes much more fluid, precious and grander than we previously thought. The beauty of life and the resources it provides us with is not something to overlook, as each new day is a gift without any cost, yet of immeasurable value, and our soul knows this. That's why it urges you towards the gratitude and joy that accompany it. Remember that even the smallest coin or the lowest bill in your country, everything you have in your hands is a blessing, as there are thousands out there struggling to obtain it without success. Flow with the energy of money. Be grateful for everything that comes, and even be thankful for what departs, because if it's leaving, it's because it's meant to, and it's the right thing to do. With much love, we open ourselves up for the energy of money to flow into our being and our reality. Only at this point can you be sure that money will manifest very soon, as indeed there is gratitude to bear the burden of that reward and multiply absolutely everything that comes into our lives and is positive. Number 9. Enjoying helping others. In one way or another, we have subtly touched on part of this last sign that presents itself as a harbinger regarding money, wealth and abundance, and it's the way we allow the energy of money to flow through helping others. For centuries, there has been a belief among us that help only occurs when it has an ulterior motive. But thanks to the awakening that many souls are experiencing, we can see how our souls are realigning with those principles that were instilled as primary in them since creation. One of those principles is unity and cooperation among souls, who beyond any personal interest end up collaborating with each other's process and life. But this doesn't just take place on the earthly plane. Energetically, many represent the perfect opportunity for others to overcome an important process or lesson. Although we may not see it, we are capable of helping others in so many ways that some simply find it complicated and end up dismissing the idea of helping their neighbour, without considering that this is an act that can enrich your life, not only on a sentimental and emotional level, but also economically. From our determination to help and selfless actions, we are seen by the universe as multipliers of good things, or if you prefer, as miracle workers for others. As a result, an increase in the resources available to us is unlocked, aiming for us to reach more and more people. Let's not forget that one indispensable requirement for this to take place is that the help must be selfless. From the moment we start performing acts or deeds seeking a reward, the meaning of what we do is lost, and we end up missing the opportunity to receive and elevate ourselves through our actions. Our only motivation for helping should be to spread light and blessings far and wide across the earth, aiming to leave a positive footprint and motivate many to join in helping and collaborating to make humanity more beautiful. Donating, charity, or helping others without any interest is not only a manifestation of the beautiful heart we have, nor just a reflection of how we embrace the principles of unity, compassion, and collaboration that unite souls, but it also represents a strong signal that money will come into our lives in abundance. So, if you feel a powerful calling to help the most vulnerable, let this need drive you, and remain confident and joyful that the reward will always come from the universe. Even if the person you've helped shows signs of ingratitude, what you seek is to touch the lives of others, not for everyone to start thinking that you have risen above them, or that you have become a superior being, because in front of the universe, all souls are equal and deserve the same love. From today, I want you to evaluate how much you help others in their lives, because this is not only a sign of maturity and evolution, but can also be a sign of money manifestation and a life of wealth. so don't overlook it. And if you know a different way to perceive the arrival of that wealth in our lives, just take a minute and tell us in the comments section. If you liked our content, give it a like, and don't forget to share it with those who need it to awaken in consciousness. We also invite you to become part of our reality and the spaces of profound knowledge we share. To do that, you just have to subscribe to this channel, where the gathering of our souls in the distance will be frequent and precious. Each new video is specially designed for everyone to understand these premises that can help change our lives. And that's why I enjoy these moments of gathering with you so much. Don't stop being present in my mind, and I send you lots of light and blessings.